Hey everybody, thank you guys for being here. You can see that we're doing Technical Tuesdays. We're going to be testing Tim's technical skills today. I thought he did an incredible job last time. I've got some questions prepared on some of the correct direction that he gave us last week in the crypto market, and I'm going to kind of quiz him again and see what we can figure out moving forward. Today was a relatively mixed day for a lot of stocks on the S&P 500, but it was also pretty ugly depending on what you were holding. There was some things that broke through support, and we're now looking at the next support level below. Unless these recover tomorrow morning, there's some pretty rough indications about where things might be heading. But in the midst of that, there's actually some big tech gems. I'm going to highlight some big tech that I am really concerned is getting ready to go much lower. But I'm also going to give you guys one that is holding up incredibly strong, and that I think that it's going to be an outlier for big tech. I'm going to break that down for you guys. This is the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you guys for joining me. Hit the like, start this off strong, fam, with a like, and throw a heart in the comment. Say hi to Tim. Now, Tim's got his own channel, and I think he's an incredible technical analyst, and he specifically focuses on crypto. It's called Investing Bros, and I've put a link in the description of this video so that before this video is up, you guys can go over there and support him. I think it's well worth follow. Now, these guys are on their way to 20,000 subs, and or they're right around 12 now. But in my mind, I think they're going to get to 20 pretty quickly. It wouldn't shock me if these guys double, because they're really providing strong content. And the Stocks with Josh page is nearing 100,000 subscribers. Now, I hope that 100K level is not resistance. I am predicting that we're going to break through. And then we're going to be in sub-discovery zone, right, Tim?
There we go.
If we break above 100K, then we're just, we're up in sub-discovery zone. We have no idea where it's going to go. So let's just take a step back. Now, Tim, news today wasn't great. It's one of the things that put pressure on the market. I had been talking about the fact 2 weeks ago, I highlighted the fact that that global tensions were getting ready to explode, and we've been seeing obviously disheartening military action. My heart goes to the people that are not soldiers and are not politicians, who are literally just trying to get milk and bread and feed their family. And at the same time, they've got kids and they're trying to put them through school. There's the need for peace in the Middle East, and Iran did an attack against Israel, which was quite surprising. I made the comment that I believed it was meant to ultimately serve as a deterrent, but Israel has, from what I understand, some breaking news. They're launching a strategic strike into Iran. Guys, this is escalating at the moment. I think in all of our hearts, we're hoping that things will just cool off, that the powers that be could somehow mitigate some peace. Everybody has flexed and shown their strength. I'm not going to get into the politics. I'm not going to get into the power. I'm not going to get into the military. The only thing that I know is that we're not out of the woods. And I made that comment a couple times in the last couple of videos that we weren't, and that we could expect more choppy waters and more trouble ahead. And I'm going to tell you right now, as I've spent the day examining stocks, I've done a ton of technicals in the Discord. If you don't know what the Discord is, it's the Stock Squad Patreon. It's the Stock Squad, myself, Keenan, Stockmo, and Stock Up with Larry Jones. I posted a ton of technicals over there today. So did the guys. They posted plays. There's money being made. But I'll tell you what I took away, and then we're going to say hi to Tim here, and we're going to get some feedback from him before we get into some of the questions and some of the charts. And we're going to do a lightning round today on altcoins. So I'm just hoping that we can squeeze it in. I'm going to be pushing Tim to give super clear and short answers so we can just jam-pack this video with content for you guys. So let's just go over real quick. We'll go ahead and say hi to Tim real quick. Tim, go ahead and say hello to the people.
What's up, everyone? What's up, Josh? Thank you for having me on again today. I really enjoyed last Thursday, so cannot wait to do it again. And yeah, like anytime you need to slow me down or speed me up. Give me the green lights, give me the red lights. We're gonna go at the pace that is best for you guys. Quick story and joke. I used to get told by people I was a fast speaker in high school, and it was my biggest correction when I did speech and debate. And someone said, "Man, if you let Tim talk to a rock, you could leave for a couple of hours and he'd still be going." So you gotta, anytime you want to slow me down, I am not offended whatsoever. To slow me down or speed me up, whatever you need from me, I'm here to serve you guys.
Well, thank you, Tim. And you did a good job last Technical Tuesday. So let me just start off with the first question that we're going to kind of digest, right? So last week, I made a comment that I was wanting to see more of the altcoins run. And the fact is that right after that, and you made the comment, Tim, that the alts have run, that they're lofty, that they're frothy, and that there was the opportunity for them to come down. And I just want to shout you out and say, you were 100% right. I think that my desire was to see the legacy coins, which hadn't run as much, somehow a few of them come up. But the fact is that they had come up. And some of these coins that we've been trading, I've been trading on my channel, we're up 400%. So now here, I'm going to hit you straight, right? We came down, and here's the big deal, Tim. Bitcoin has only down 15% from its peak price that we've seen in the last month. Yet some of the alts that we've been looking to see blow up, not down, but blow up, are down 50% right now. So I'm going to ask you a real concise question. Is the Armageddon for the alts just beginning, or is this a safe place to begin to nibble some of your favorite alts?
Yeah, so to break that down, I have been considered in the crypto space. I've gotten flack over the last couple of weeks for being too bearish. There are people more bearish than me. Right now, there are people predicting, they're coming back out of the woodwork. They're saying Bitcoin's going to 10,000. A lot of these altcoins are going down and setting new lows for the bear market. That's where I kind of punch the brakes here. I do think, Josh, I think that a lot of altcoins still have a little further to go. And for your community, obviously, you guys spend a lot more time talking about stocks, not as much about crypto. Historically, this is actually very, very normal for bull markets and altcoins. Bitcoin historically during bull markets has had upwards of 40 to 50% pullbacks easily. I think it's more mature this cycle. Altcoins, on the other hand, though, you can see altcoins do upwards of 70%. I'm not saying every single one will, but it's actually very normal in a bull market for certain altcoins to pull back 70%, but stay in a bull trend where we're setting higher highs and higher lows from the bear market bottoms. And while today I'm actually staying very, very bullish. I tell people right now, like, hey, I can't guarantee you how much lower we're going. I think we are going lower, but what I can guarantee you is that buying today is a cheaper price than buying last week. So it's a good time to start deploying some capital. That's the only guarantee I can give, though.
Let me, that was really good, Tim. Thank you. I'm going to paint a little bit of a scenario visually. I'm not going to take us into the charts. But the last time we made an all-time high and a top for Bitcoin back in 2021, we pretty much had 64K, and then it followed up with 69K, right? And between those two tops, we roughly came back 50%. We came back to the golden pocket on the fib level if you're a fib guy. So now we are in a somewhat similar position. We've made a really incredible run up, and we are experiencing a little bit of a pullback. And, you know, there's going to be the question, how far is it realistic for Bitcoin to pull back? But before, I'm going to it's like a two-part question that I want us both to digest. So really, we're going to have the option. I'm going to give you sort of a multiple choice, okay? So I want to keep it simple, because here personally, we're tech guys. We love this crap. We love these fibs and these oscillators and these indicators. I got to pull away from the charts because I can lose hours in the charts. So I want to make it simple. Up, down, or sideways. Next 30 days, those are your three choices. Up, down, or sideways. You're like, dang, Josh, you're doing me like that.
Yeah. There's a lot that can happen in the next 30 days. Let's start off by saying, if your audience knows what this is, the Bitcoin halving is 4 days away. That's a big bullish catalyst coming. So anyone who doesn't know, every 4 years, Bitcoin cuts their new supply in half. It's a big deal that has major bullish implications. That happens in 4 days. Historically, whether we're going into it, through it, or out of it, we trade sideways on Bitcoin more often than not. So while I'm going to tell you some levels, especially when we come here on the charts in a second, I'm going to pull up Lux Algo. I'll show you guys the same liquidations charts I showed you last week. I think that there is a chance for 55K, 56K area, which is slightly down. But then if you're going to ask me, Tim, make a prediction about 30 days from now, I could see within the next 30 days a drop to 55 and then a bounce back up above 60K. So when it's all said and done, it finishes sideways, but we might have some downward action between those dates.
Tim, I want you to know that I charted Bitcoin right before I came on this live, and my target at the moment was 55 with a retrace to 60. So when I hear you say that, I think, okay, maybe we have something that we're seeing at the same time. All right, let me just go one step later. Thank you for giving me a concise answer. And so let's go one step lower. The last time we were at 64 and we came down that 55% on Bitcoin, at that time, the alts, most of them, Ethereum specifically, came down just 20%. So Bitcoin went down 55 and Ethereum, I believe, went down 20. You can pop open your chart and double check me. And then when Bitcoin went back up to 69K, that's when Ethereum just exploded upwards. And so we know that this season, things are different. We know that, right? They're not, and the biggest difference that I see right now in the charts is that things are happening sooner than expected. Not necessarily that they're taking a different path. But when we've got this incredible capitulation on the alts right now, and Bitcoin is showing the dominance still, I'm just curious what your takeaway from that is. What is different about that right now than the last time we got to these levels?
What's my thought on the Bitcoin dominance? I was looking at the Ethereum chart in Bitcoin because I when you said the dates to that, I was like, man, I actually don't know if I've ever looked at the exact dates of when we pulled back on Bitcoin and Ethereum, what they looked like. But as far as Bitcoin dominance,
more specifically, if you had asked me if Bitcoin were to have come down 20%, I would have thought at this stage that the alts might have pulled back less. A lot of people were talking about the fact that that Bitcoin pullback could actually be a little mini alt season, but that wasn't the case. Bitcoin pulled back. We're still in Bitcoin dominance, and it was an alt season slaughter. And so if Bitcoin does pull back to the $55,000 target, you and I both charted out separately, have the alts been punished enough, or are we going another 50% down from here? Just looking for your opinion, man. I know that neither of us have a crystal ball, but one thing that's fun about these Technical Tuesdays is this is the first time I've chopped it up with a technical guy. And so we have and you know what, Tim? I like Tim, but we barely know each other. So his is not this isn't like Stock Up with Larry Jones where I've known him for 20 years. We've just recently started chatting. And so this is total exploration of the charts and what each of us think about the markets. So what are your thoughts about Bitcoin dominance and the alts getting more pain?
It will all depend, Josh, on what is the reason for further Bitcoin downward price action. Is it continued speculation about what the war could bring? In that case, no, altcoins will not pump. Bitcoin will fall, and so will altcoins, and they'll go faster. Is it specifically something about Bitcoin? That to me is the only scenario that altcoins either don't fall as much or fall or rise during a Bitcoin fall, is if it's specifically some form of problem with Bitcoin. And I don't see that happening. I think the most realistic scenario is if Bitcoin continues to drop here a little bit and head toward 55. I see someone in chat here talking about 47, 48. That's kind of my more disaster zone, 48K. And we can explain that on the charts later. But if Bitcoin falls another and ends up becoming 25% down from its highs of 73, I don't think that's good for altcoins. I think this is a season right now. If you're a fan of what we call the 4-year cycle in crypto, that does apply to Bitcoin. But this part in the 4-year cycle, you see the Bitcoin dominance continuing to climb. And some of the biggest growth the Bitcoin dominance will make is during periods of pullbacks where Bitcoin will pull back, yes, but so will altcoins. And a brief explanation as to maybe why that is if people are diversified in their altcoin picks, and they've bought Bitcoin, they bought altcoins as well. Let's just pretend for a second that they sell $1,000 of their Bitcoin, $1,000 of their Solana, $1,000 of their Ethereum, so on and so forth. Well, due to the market caps, an $1,000 hit to Bitcoin is just nowhere near as significant as a $1,000 hit to Ethereum. Or then you get to Solana, it's even more significant. Then you start getting to the smaller altcoins like Cardano and AVAX and XRP. It's going to be a very, very big hit on them. It's going to cause them to fall faster. You might see more money come out of the Bitcoin market cap than altcoins, but because Bitcoin is just so much larger, again, it has over a 55% dominance of the entire crypto space. It takes a big, big loss on Bitcoin compared to the altcoins for Bitcoin to fall faster than the alts.
Okay, let's do this, Tim, real quick, because I want to keep things. They have to be so dang simple. I mean, it's got to be like, I made a comment to my son. You're doing good, by the way. I made a comment to my son. I had him on a live yesterday or a video we shot, and I said, we've got a 7-year-old nephew. And I said, Judah, you got to explain this stuff like you're talking to Leighton, okay? So keeping it very simple, I'd like to take you into the chart that's reflecting where the liquidity is right now. If it's beginning to form in a bearish way, that we might see a move up to knock it out, or if we're just accumulating more, where are the market makers going to go? Can you pull up that screen on your end?
Yeah, I can do that. What I wanted to show really quickly, though, you mentioned Ethereum. I don't know. Do you mind if we go back to the Bitcoin and Ethereum conversation?
Yes. And I actually, on that note, we can go back to that. Yeah. On that note, I have some thoughts on Ethereum. I actually was watching your partner on the show today, and he charted. Yes. He was charting Ethereum. It got me interested. I got into the Ethereum chart, and I have some strong thoughts on where Ethereum's going overall. But yes, where are you going to go into your chart? Go ahead.
Yeah, so if you share my screen here, I pulled up, forgive how ugly this looks, because I don't use this second one very often. You have to adjust the settings. But effectively, what we're going to look at right here is the last bull market, Bitcoin versus Ethereum, that Josh mentioned. And I'm going to even explain to you kind of what I said when I said, hey, if Bitcoin has specific bearishness, then it could fall versus altcoins. And that's exactly what we see right here. So you can see when I'm looking at this left side, Bitcoin, it'll show you on the right side the same price action of Ethereum. When he talked about the 65K that Bitcoin hit, 65K. You can see here, yes, Bitcoin fell down all the way back down to 46,000 from there. And at the same timeline, you can see that Ethereum actually began to take off. Well, this is a situation, in case anyone wasn't here for this time, this is when Elon Musk announced that Tesla was going to start selling off some Bitcoin because of the environmental concerns about this proof of work Bitcoin and what it does to the environment. So in that case, that wasn't a crypto widespread problem. That was a Bitcoin specific problem. So that's why Bitcoin dropped and Ethereum took off. If I were to show you other charts, Cardano would have taken off at the same time as well. AVAX or whatever coins were around, they would have taken off. But you can still see when crypto as a whole got, kind of explosive here, Bitcoin ended up correcting, as Josh said, roughly, 55, 54%. But take a look at how far Ethereum corrected during that time period. It went a little farther. It went down to 60%. So this kind of backs up, even if I were to go back and look at other pullbacks during the bull market, altcoins they pull back a lot faster than Bitcoin necessarily, even in this situation. And what we have going on right now, I do believe, is a crypto-wide pullback, in which case the altcoins bleed a lot faster than Bitcoin. But that's what I want to say about there. Could you remind me, Josh, the second question you asked me as you came over the charts, what you wanted me to look at?
We were wanting to look at the liquidity on Bitcoin right now, where people are going long or short.
Yes. Yeah, that's this one right here, the liquidation chart here. You guys can see, remember last week I was on here, we talked pretty heavily, about the 60,000. I think we had something down to 62 or whatever. I told you guys it could go a little lower than that. We took out all of those liquidations right there. That's what this bunch is of bright yellow. Now what we're looking at, as things have reassessed, there's a hefty amount of longs that could get liquidated if price drops back down towards 56,800, and you can see that kind of slows down right towards 55. I'm a fan of when I see these charts, you don't go right to the yellow, you drop slightly below the yellow, and then you find your bounce, similar to what we saw right back over this last couple of days over the weekend. So we have a lot of longs. In fact, it's not saying how many millions, but this is going to be millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of longs that will be liquidated if we drop down to 55. To be fair, I want to make sure the bulls get their case as well. You guys can see the brightest yellow on this chart's actually sitting up at 73,400. So if some sort of fire gets lit under the bulls, there is heavy liquidation levels to keep an eye on up above us as well, where hundreds of millions of dollars of shorts we get liquidated. But right now, I think that we're definitely looking at this lower target as the more reasonable expectation for where price action should be going for the traders to liquidate out some of these longs.
Tim, if you think that Bitcoin's going to 55, and both of us made a case for why that would be likely, it's the structural support that makes sense. We see that the algorithm is the smart money and the market makers have algorithms which hunt liquidity, and there's a pile of money down there that I think you and I believe that they want to go after and take out of the system. It enables them to essentially lend more. Now,
Yes.
if we come down and clear that out, then the bottom line is, what argument can we really make right now for going heavy into alts?
What argument can you? I would not make the argument for going heavy into alts, other than these low prices that we're probably about to see are going to be the best prices you see for the next 12 to 18 months. My other thought would be, if your thought was anyone who's saying, I want to buy something right now that I plan on taking profit on in maybe the next 3, 4, 5 months, then I'm going to actually tell you guys, go with Bitcoin. And maybe even Ethereum. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum historically during the beginnings of the second leg of the bull market, and that's kind of what we're looking at right now. There's always like two legs to bull markets. There's the initial pump from the bottoms, and then there's this more serious pullback, and then the second leg begins post Bitcoin halving, which again is 4 days away. In the first little bit of that, most of the attention, most of the gains are going to come in the Bitcoin and Ethereum world. In fact, I saw something today that said the Bitcoin dominance, which again shows you how powerful Bitcoin is compared to other altcoins, it actually usually peaks about 270 days after the halving event. What does that tell me? If we're 4 days away from the halving, for the next 274 days, you probably are better off being invested in Bitcoin. You'll get better gains in Bitcoins than altcoins. However, I don't know if you have a question there. I can move to the alts after that, but did you have a thought there you wanted to say?
Well, no, I appreciate that. I want to go into a chart, and I want to get your opinion on something I shared with the community on the day that Bitcoin fell apart. And it really was just looking at all three past cycles and the cycle that we're in today. And let me just pull up this chart, and then I'm going to talk to you about it, okay?
Perfect.
Okay, so the simple question, and really I'm just bouncing this off of you. I mean, I made this point, okay? We've got obviously the first cycle after the halving. The total move from low to top was 60K back in 2017, roughly 12K. These are rounded numbers. Don't take them literally. Yeah. I think it was 2,100, but 2K for 2021. And we're sitting at 350% now. One of the points, and I think a lot of retail people had not really seen this before, was understanding that even though BlackRock, State Street, Cathie Woods, ARK Invest, Michael Saylor are all calling for $1 million Bitcoin, the truth is that the overall momentum, I mean, this thing is practically pointing straight up, but by the time you get over here, we're pretty much moving sideways. And so it was important that I showed people that momentum has, for quite a while, price momentum, has actually been smoothing out and becoming more mature and more stable. And in addition to that, the drop that we had in this last winter was not as severe as the drops that we had had in the past. And so we didn't go down as much. We may not be going up as much. But here's the exact question I want to outline to you. So these are different fib levels. And basically you've got 5 fib levels here in 2013. You've got 5 fib levels in 2017 that the price pushed up to. But then when you get to 2021, we lost a fib level. We actually came up, we went back above all-time highs. And let me know if you need me to slow down on any of this. It all makes sense.
No, This is stuff we've talked about actually on our channel as well, so I'm tracking
Okay, cool. So 2017 high, we see that we achieved it in 2021 when the price got to the red line, and we were able to push over and make a new high. However, it stopped at the blue level. Both the previous times we went up to the next fib level. Now, here's the question. We've had this incredible move up. We've come to the red level. And I don't know if you know this, but if I take you through this, Tim, you might have seen this yourself. But every single time, I'm on the weekly chart. Let me go to the monthly chart so it's cleaner. Every single time we've gotten to the monthly level, every single time we've gotten to the red level on the monthly chart, price has pressed through. Okay, so every time we've gotten back to an all-time high. So here's an example. We press into the red level. That's the previous all-time high. It gives a huge candle. Then in 2017, we get up to the red level. We actually get near it. We get a little sideways action. But when we press through it, we get a massive green candle, move up to the next level. We had the same thing in 2021. Back to the red level means all-time high. We pressed into it, got a massive green candle. Now, here's the interesting thing. This will be the very first time in the history of Bitcoin that we've returned to the all-time high, pressed into it, crossed over it, closed above it, and gotten at the moment, potentially a rejection candle. This will be the very first time that the next month's candle hasn't opened above the red level and closed above, giving us a strong green candle. I'm just curious your reflections on that.
Yeah, so good stuff there. Great observations you're making. The first thing is, as markets mature, everyone should know this. As markets mature, you're going to get less explosive bull markets. So that's something when you're making that trend you talked about at the beginning, and it keeps getting less and less explosive. Well, that's normal. It's going to get harder and harder. It's pretty hard when you have a $1 trillion market cap to do a 60,000% gain like you did back when your market cap was maybe only like a couple $100,000 at the very beginning. So that's my first point here. Let's talk about. I'm going to talk about the second option. If you share my screen here, because this is something I talked about with my channel, what happens when we hit former all-time highs. But I want to show you guys something of significance. I'm going to go rid of these. These are dates of the halving events, but I want to show you guys these green lines right here. So these green lines, these vertical green lines, are the halving events, right? So this is when that thing we're talking about that happens in 4 days. These are when they've happened. This will be the fourth one in the history of Bitcoin. We're talking right now about what Bitcoin's doing in response to this one so different as we cross the all-time high and then we're not exploding like we've done in the past. But this time's so different. Let's talk about where we've been in the past. So, we're created way back here in 2009. The first halving event happens in 2013. Well, let's take a look at this. The all-time high that was set back in May of 2011. When we get into that halving event, we're nowhere close to that all-time high. Yep. In fact, it took us a couple of months to get back to even reach that all-time high. Same thing when you come here into 2016. We get a little closer to it, but we don't come. The new all-time high was set back here in 2013 November. Well, here when we get to the halving event, again, we're not really close to that all-time high. We trade sideways, go slightly down, and then we explode later. You can see what happens when we wrestle with the all-time high. We reject, and then we break through. Well, same thing back here in 2020. We had a high that happened much before the halving event, but again, nowhere close to previous all-time highs. But this time, we just set a new all-time high before the halving has happened. That's the first time that's ever happened. So I want to make sure people understand, when you look at one thing like saying every other time we broke all-time high, we're the next monthly candle is massively explosive, and this one's not. That's super bearish. Well, I can take that argument and say, okay, fair. But what about the argument that we've never hit a new all-time high before halving, and now all of a sudden we have? Shouldn't that be a very bullish argument? As a whole, when it comes to these arguments, I kind of take them with a grain of salt, meaning is it important to notice a breaking of a trend? Yes. But don't make every single investment decision based off of historical analysis of 15, 16 years. But we got to remember, Bitcoin's still very, very young. This is a coin that is the most mature cryptocurrency, but It's never seen a major recession. It was created due to what happened back in 2008, but it's never seen a big economic problem like what I think potentially we're about to see. I think that Bitcoin ends up being a solution. That's what it's created to do, is to solve our economic woes with inflation. It's about to go through a big earthquake here in the next, I think, 3 to 4 years when we're trying to fix the high inflation. I think Bitcoin rides out very well. But there's another thing I wanted to kind of break down when we're looking at a chart like this. If you go back and share my screen again, I'm not going to draw. Well, actually,
I'm gonna share your screen, but I want to pivot after that, because I've got two things I want to cover. I want to cover some big tech plays. I want to get your input with the Lux Algo indicator on those big tech plays. And then I want to do a lightning round of alts that are maybe worth putting on people's watch list. So let me get you into your chart real quick.
Okay, yeah. So what I want to see, the last thing is I don't know if, Josh, if you ever heard this, but there's a saying that, at first they ignore you, or, at first they don't even know who you are. Then they laugh at you. Then they fight you, and then they join you. Ultimately, we have a tale of 4 years. From 2009 to 2013, not many people had heard about Bitcoin. Usually it's just tech nerds. So that's the ignoring stage. No one knew anything about Bitcoin. Just ignore it. A lot of people heard about Bitcoin between 2013, or 2011, 2013-ish, and 26, man, I'm doing my cycles all wrong. 2013 and 2017, excuse me. Between those time periods, this is where it was a joke. I mean, you watch TV shows, you heard people talk about the news. It was a joke that I'll pay you in Bitcoin, right? They laughed at Bitcoin. There's no way this internet money's going to become anything legitimate. It's kind of funny. It's a joke. Well, then all of a sudden, the bull market between 2017 and 2021 comes with and then they fight you. The institutions during the bull market of 2021 hammered Bitcoin, hated on it, told everyone, stay away from this volatile, terrible asset. It's an environmental nightmare. It'll wreck your money. This coin goes up and down by 50%, willy-nilly. Do not buy Bitcoin, right? They were fighting us. Well, what is the catalyst for this early trend on Bitcoin hitting new all-time high before the halving? It's that the institutions are joining. BlackRock, Fidelity, these are 4 years ago, they told you stay away from Bitcoin. Bitcoin's terrible. It'll lose you money. And now they're out here saying it is a flight to quality. Everyone should have Bitcoin in their portfolio. It's one of the reasons why I'm really big is because last cycle, it's almost like they put a top on Bitcoin and said, we're going to suppress this price. They're fighting it. But this is a cycle institutions buy it. And I'm not saying we don't, again, retrace back to 55 first, but I think
let me hit you with this, Tim. First of all, I love what you're laying down, man. It's good stuff, really good stuff. Are you bullish on Bitcoin in this cycle to break above 80K and to get to around 150, 170? So here, let me lay this out for you. I don't even have to go into the chart. I know you're a chart guy. The top of the blue level is 177, okay? So if we do a repeat of last cycle, the 64, 69 level is 177 currently. So if we get to the top of the blue fib level, we're going to hit 177. I'm just curious, do you think we're pressing through and getting there, and why?
Yeah, so just so you know, 150 to 170 is my kind of things don't go right for Bitcoin price.
It's not good enough.
Meaning it's not good enough. I am a fan of the $200,000 to $220,000 Bitcoin. There are bulls that call for closer to 300, 400. I think it's a little too early for that. But yeah, again, like I just said, I think that the $69,000 top in 2021 was a showing of price suppression, and price manipulation from the institutions who wanted to discourage purchasing it. Now, all of a sudden, I think you're going to see a lot of incentive to buy Bitcoin. There's going to be a boost to it. There are scenarios out there where Bitcoin could hit 300, 400,000 this bull market. And I mean, by the end of 2025, my realistic expectation is the south side 170, north side 220, 230. That's my price prediction for this next, again, 12 to 18 months for Bitcoin.
Well, just so you know, let me pop us back into the screen here. Oh, I'm already there. I'm looking at my chart. So just so you know, Tim, the blue level, 177, the yellow level, which we've achieved 2/3 of the time with Bitcoin strength, that's 500,000. So there is some, past history that would indicate that if this is going to be one of Bitcoin's strongest runs, that it could get anywhere from 177 to 500,000. Now there is a running bearish view that we will not get over 80K. I don't know if you're familiar with that, because of the maturing of the price and the slowing of the volume and the slowing of the momentum. I'm talking quick because I want to get to Tesla and some big tech. I'm just curious if you have, if you give any credence to that bearish concern regarding the 80K level.
I have to give it respect. I mean, I'm going to respect that opinion because crazier things have happened. But I'll tell you this, if Bitcoin can eclipse 100,000 this bull market, it might not be something worth your long-term investment. I'll just put it that way because this is the perfect time and catalyst for Bitcoin to go nuts. Like I told you, 2021, the institutions did not want you to have it. They FUD'd it, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. They spread a bunch of lies. They suppressed it. But now they're on Team Bitcoin. Guess what also? BlackRock now has thrown a lot of their weight behind Bitcoin, suggesting to their customers, if Bitcoin only makes it to 80K, and then let's say it drops back down to like 20,000 or goes lower to 10,000, how well do you think they're going to be able to sell it to their investors after that? That's done. BlackRock's ETF will not be bought up anymore.
Okay,
People won't want to buy an ETF down 70%.
All right, couple other thoughts here. So this is, there's the way that we view things because it makes sense and it's the way that it should go. But then we've got to take into account malicious, evil actors who manipulate the system for their own benefit. And if you've got an innocent mind, sometimes you're not even thinking about what they might be up to. And so let's just kind of think like the deviant Gensler and Larry Fink from the SEC. I'm sorry to throw them under the bus, but if these guys, I'm going to tell you, Larry, it's been amusing and entertaining to see Larry Fink get caught up to what all of us crypto degens have known for years and years and years, that this was the future. I remember watching him talk, and he was, he didn't speak about it confidently. And then there came this aha moment, these eyes wide open moment where he's like, everything's blockchain, everything will be tokenized, real world assets. Now, this guy's running $10 trillion of assets, and he's getting positioned. Decentralized exchanges, centralized exchanges, ownership of all of the unprofitable miners, big stake in NVIDIA. They control all the pieces for dominance. And here's really what it comes down to, Tim. I'm kind of making the bearish case for a moment. If these guys want more time to get themselves positioned and to get control over all of the assets and the resources, as well as the SEC, so that everything's lined up, all of their companies, ONDO and all the ones I've highlighted that they're backing, that they're not going to get into regulation, that there's a smooth pass forward for all of what they're trying to profit on. It's very possible that they can keep this from pumping, even though it would appear that it should pump now, so that they can fill their bags more.
Yeah, and that's an argument there. I think I would respect that one a little more. And maybe that's what you meant to say, is maybe the Bitcoin price stops at 80K and then just trades sideways for a very long
That's
term.
actually that's actually a possibility in my mind.
Yeah, I think that
Matter of fact, I'll go one step further.
That one.
I'll go one step further just to outline that theory a bit more. So I'm believing, so we didn't get down. I have to review my percentages, and you might be able to do it on your computer. I think that in the past, we've gotten down at least 84% on Bitcoin each winter. And I believe we only hit 74%. Someone has to verify that for me.
Yep.
Okay. And so
you hit the numbers right.
Yeah, we didn't go down as much. And so I personally believe that the bottom of this upcoming winter is going to potentially be at that 32K level that never got tested. And I think that largely we're going to go sideways between 50 and 80 for a long time. And only during a particularly bad moment are we going to have a 30-day flash crash move down to 32, test it, and go up from there. But largely, if we take the bearish view, I largely see this moving sideways between 50 and 80 for the next coming years. Then I see in the following run, also that aligns with a reset in the stock market. I see the potential of this bigger ladder pump up to 500,000 when Fink and all of his boys have all the strings tied to their fingers and are ready for it to do that. So I'm just concerned that it would make sense for it to pump, but there's reasons why things might get delayed.
Interesting. I'll tell you what, that's actually the first time I've heard that form of a theory, because most people that I've heard say 80K is the top are then predicting a fall back to like 10,000. So they're predicting lower lows than what we saw here in 2022 and 2023. Yeah, so I'll put it this way. I don't think that that's going to happen. I do think we'll go over 100K. I do think we'll push towards 200. But it is an interesting theory that I've definitely discussed with my channel. As good as Larry Fink and BlackRock are bringing in these new buyers and offering ETFs and allowing more TradFi people traditional finance people to get involved with Bitcoin, let's not pretend that Larry Fink is the best friend of the decentralized community.
No,
he's not.
He
wants to gain power. So it's gonna be curious. Here's though where I think there's a wrestling point though, and I don't want to call anyone a hero of Bitcoin. We did that to Elon Musk in 2021, and then he dumped his Bitcoin for the environmental purposes. That's why Bitcoin
he didn't sell
50%.
it all. He didn't sell it all.
He dumped it good enough, and he spread a lot of fear in the market. So I've learned a lesson. We don't call anyone a hero, but if there's gonna be a hero at play here, Michael Saylor is an interesting character because the concept that BlackRock is going to want to do to gain as much supply as possible is, yes, they want to shake you and me out of it. Like the bully on the playground, shaking the kid upside down to get all his lunch money. They're going to mess with the chart. They're going to manipulate it up at certain times and down at certain times to shake out all of us dumb retail investors so they can gain as much supply as possible. There's a big kid on the block, Michael Saylor. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would agree that there's more forces in it than just Larry Fink. I'm going to keep it so simple, and I think, will remember this for the years ahead. All that I need to become a Michael Saylor Bitcoin maximalist is to see a monthly candle chart close above 80K, and I am on board. I've got the dance song rolling, and it's going to be party town all the way up to 177,000. I need that monthly candle to close above 80K. All right, let's segue into, I want to go to Tesla. I'm going to give my thoughts, and then I'm going to have you examine it in a super concise way on the Lux Algo. So let me get into my screen real quick. All right, guys, so Tesla's had a bad day, and I'm going to try to keep my overview very simple. I have been telling people that it would have a bad day, and there's a couple reasons. If you zoom in here, guys, you can see that we don't have the candles we need. Right off the bat, these are weekly candles, and if you zoom in, this is a very ugly candle with a much bigger wick on the top than tail on the bottom, and then if that wasn't bad enough, it pointed us to a red week. We got another one as a confirmation that Tesla wanted to go down. Now, I don't know. I don't want to be dramatic here, but I did practically beg you guys to short Tesla at 177. Every time I discussed it, every technical update that I gave, I said it's not strong, it's weak, it's capitulating, it's going back into the 150s. We're going to get there soon. Don't get fooled. I want you guys to learn these technicals. So if for some reason I'm sitting on a beach in Hawaii and I'm not doing this anymore, that you guys will be able to take away and remember some of the things I said. What is this? An ascending channel, guys. It's an ascending channel. Ascending channels break to the downside. What is this? It's an ascending channel. Which direction did it break? To the downside. Now, I'm going through quickly. Now I want to give you some other very important technicals that we just got. We've got a 4-candle break of 160. Let's go through it. 1, 2, 3. Now we have a confirmation break of 160. We have completely lost that level. And so what I'm predicting at the moment is that we will get a move back to 150 into this range. Now, let's go through it quickly, guys, because I have a feeling I'm not going to get everything out today I want to get out. Let's get the RSI up here. I want you to, I just gave you some bullish talk. Let me give you I gave you some bearish talk. Let me give you the bullish talk. Now, I know it's a little bit hard to see because we're zoomed in here, but the fact that this is a lower low and this is a higher low on the RSI basically it means the RSI is pointing up. But in the scenario of price went lower, which means that this is bullish divergence on the weekly time frame. It means that the momentum to the downside is slowing. It doesn't mean that the momentum is over. It just means that it's slowing. And when you begin to see that, you want to take note of the fact that we might be getting near a place that is an optimistic buy. We have earnings, which are ahead of us on Tuesday, the 23rd. I believe that's next Tuesday. And I'm expecting a bumpy road. We are trending down, and I'm hoping that we will see some form of a reversal between 150 and 140. 142 is sort of the golden number that I'm watching. Let me just go into a daily time frame. And what you can see there, I'm going to turn this over to Tim, is that we are between these Lux Algo indicators. And Tim, just to give them a little bit of an explanation of why this green cloud here at the bottom is giving us a potential bullish point of view from the Lux Algo perspective.
Yeah, well, when it comes to Lux Algo, there's several different indicators there that are going to communicate support. Ultimately, think of those kind of similarly, but more dynamic than Bollinger Bands. Anyone who might know what Bollinger Bands are, measuring the volatility of just how high realistically a price should go, high or low. These aren't exactly like Bollinger Bands, but they're giving you a good range of, based off of recent volatility and price action. I don't know if it's 90 days or 180 days. I didn't create the tool, but it's giving you the bands of realistic volatility. Where's the support? Where's the resistance? And so after a nice rally to kind of finish off 2023, we've, based off those longer time frames, we're seeing the volatility show that we're more oversold and we're more at closer levels of bouncing than we are levels of continual crash. If you share my screen, I love the levels, Josh, that you put there. This is going to show you guys confluence of a lot of things. The first thing I'm looking at, I've had this on my chart now for a very long time, is there was a gap way back in January of 2023. We have a gap right here in price action where we closed a Friday somewhere right here around 144. We opened up on Monday way higher up here at 159. And later on in April of 23, we came back close, but we didn't close the gap. And that gap, more often than not, you do close gaps. Not every single time, but more often than not.
Well,
so
that's can I chime in, Tim? I can tell you that,
Go ahead. Yeah.
that big gaps like that, they tend to close a bit more than the small ones. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Good catch right there as well. But here's where, let's pull on Lux Algo. He showed you the cloud, the green support cloud in the daily chart, but I'm going to do a little more here. Lux Algo gave a suggested sell order back here, and I say suggestion because you need to look at other things as well, but suggested sell order back on March 4th, and it gave you a take profit at the earliest right here towards 162. A middle point, one down here towards 150, and the bottom range about 136. But as a whole, that support level, that take profit level is coming in here perfectly with the confluence of not only that large gap from back in early 2023, but the support levels of the green cloud here as well. And I love what you also mentioned about the oscillators. Take a look. I like to look at RSI. I like to look at MACD. This is the Lux
Algo
Premium Oscillator.
Get too deep. Don't get too deep.
Not going to get very deep. What I want to point out to people is the same way you can draw patterns and formations on the price action, you can somewhat take a look at the oscillators here as well. And I'm going to show you guys on the MACD, for example, here on the daily chart. You guys can see that we've almost been in a symmetrical triangle pattern where a breakout should be coming sooner or later here with the MACD here. We're just looking at these trends right here. I think there's a chance we go a little bit lower, just like Josh says. The MACD drops a little lower. The oscillator drops a little lower. But then we find support here and make a break oscillator-wise to the upside, price action here as well. Again, if I'm looking at Lux Algo here, we've recently flashed a reversal green dot. We are bearish, but the same thing. We're suppressing, we're constricting. We're getting higher lows and lower highs in oscillator price action, which means just like when the candles do it, a breakout could be coming. But like Josh pointed out, these candle body lows, price action, keep getting lower and lower, but the oscillators keep getting higher and higher. This would form what we call bullish divergence and should send the price back to the upside. But I agree with Josh. I really like sub 150, somewhere between 150 to 140 for a bouncing place. Before we shoot
it's
back
been
up.
going down. Tesla, Tim, obviously you probably follow it as well. It's been going down all of 2024. So when Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Amazon and Meta have been climbing, Tesla's been in the doghouse. And so I believe that it will reverse really closer to the time that those stocks I just mentioned begin to kind of cool off a little bit, because they've been, a lot of the bad news that Tesla's been facing has been priced in. And so now we're looking for a perfect storm moment, which I actually think might be next Tuesday in the earnings. It's likely to be bad. And so, you know, now I'm just going to throw out there, because there's some folks who own Tesla right now as a big position. I've talked with folks, friends of mine, people I've met along the way, who they've got $200,000-$300,000. They got the majority of their money in Tesla, and they are in a world of pain. And so I just want to leave them with some thoughts. I'm getting hit with the question, what do I do with my Tesla position? You're telling me it's going down. Should I short it now? Okay, let's slow things up. First thing, I actually told people in the Discord and on this channel when to short, all right? The options are cheaper when the price is moving up. When it drops, they take into account implied volatility and they become more expensive. And if you choose to get in when it's dropping, if it settles down and cools off, the value, the premium of the option is going to decrease in value, and you're going to be losing on your shares and losing on your options. Now, there is some risk that could be taken there, but the opportunity to hedge has somewhat passed as we're screaming down, as we're getting close to the bottom. Now, you're going to have limited choices, but you still have some choices. I'm going to review them with you guys. You can DCA at these extremely low prices, even if you say, well, Josh, I put in 300,000. I can't put in another 100K to balance my price out. No, but sometimes just little bits along the way can help to bring that price down and get you potentially closer to profit sooner than you would if you just ignored it and closed your trade portfolio. I've had a lot of success when I've been stuck in a trade to DCA at the right moment. This could be the right moment when we're down at 140, and that could have a good impact, because what you're doing is you're buying something at 140 that's going to be profitable sooner, especially if we get back to 220. Now, I've given some price predictions on this page regarding Tesla, so I'm going to go bullish for a moment and talk about the opportunity while I'm talking about the perfect storm and this potential flush down that's coming around the corner. The opportunity is largely between 220 to 240 as far as price action smoothing out. We've been having these swing highs down to these swing lows, $400+ down to $100, back up to 300, down to 140, and I'm viewing that later this year that we could see 220. Some people are like, well, Josh, you were calling for 300 later this year. And that is potentially on the table. However, I will tell you guys this, that right now my target for what I'm buying and what I'm forecasting is around 220, 240. What would have to happen for it to go higher than that, back to 300, is it's got to be Elon. Elon's got to get paid. We've got to see some Olympus news. We got to see robots getting closer to the market. We've got to see robo-taxis. We've got to see more from Tesla to push that up. But I will say this, keep this in mind, that when Tesla went down to $100, it only took 6 months to get it up to 300. And so, yes, a $100 move in 3 months is extremely possible. So even though it might be overwhelming as a Tesla holder right now, don't get too bearish. This company is nowhere near out of relevance within the world. Elon is still, in my opinion, one of the most innovative and sharpest billionaires on top of some of the strongest companies in the world. Don't cut him out too early. All right, but let's a final thought on Tesla real quick, Tim.
Yeah. Well, something you said there is a beautiful thing. It's like, remember when I talked about the clouds? If you share my screen real quick, I talked about the volatility potential This is the weekly chart. If if you share my screen here, people can see it. Give me a second. I just want to show you guys the volatility. Yeah, so we hit that high.
We're back live, but I think I need you in there.
All right, let me try to reconnect.
And I guess we need confirmation. Can you guys see me out there? We got it back up and running. Anybody still in the comment section? Can you guys see us out there? All right, let me... Can you ring through one more time, Tim?
Yep.
Are you ringing through?
There we go.
This is like that situation where you can't see. Yes, everybody's saying, I see you, Josh. That's wonderful.
Yeah, you look back live.
That's wonderful. How do we get Tim back on now? That's the that's the question. Give me a minute, folks. Patience here that I... Okay, let's get back here. Ring through one more time, Tim, if you could.
All right.
The same thing happened last time, that it won't show me your sign-in. So I can assign you to a camera.
Yeah, it says it's still ringing on my end. I'll try this again. All right, I'm about to hit send, join again. See if it gives you some sort of update again.
Ah, there it is.
I hear the sound.
Yeah, I just found it.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. I found it. We're gonna get this back in. Okay, assign. Tim, you're back. We're back.
I'm back. Oh man.
Okay, guys, how do we redeem this show? First of all, thank you guys for the love. When things don't go exactly right, I appreciate you. I think Larry Fink was trying to bring me down, Tim. I think he heard me talking trash. Gary Gensler called him up and said, we got trouble. Tim and Josh are exposing us. They're going to bring our plan down. They're shedding light on it. And they just hit the power on me. The whole place went under. Okay, guys.
We're too bullish on Tesla, and someone else wants to buy all the stock away from your audience, so they just didn't want us giving that alpha.
Exactly. Okay, I want to get some important technicals, Tim, in. Before I do, I wanted both Tim and I use Lux Algo. We're going to continuously be teaching Lux Algo on Technical Tuesdays because we're day trading with it. Now, I run all my own technicals, but then I like to turn on Lux Algo and see where there's confluence. Though I've used it for 6 months, and it wasn't until I thought, okay, this could help people. It gives support and resistance, and I will run my support and resistance, and almost always it ends up being very close. And so if you kind of want to trade like Josh, and you're thinking, I don't know how Josh comes up with hitting these calls spot on, Lux Algo could help you. I've left a link for it in the top pinned comment and the description of the video. And we're going to continue to use it so that you guys can kind of follow along with some of the trades that we're talking about. But here's one of the things I want to get into, and there's two more, NVIDIA and then Amazon. I'm going to talk about Amazon because it's an outlier. In my mind, Tim, it's only showing strength. Even in this minor pullback, Amazon's laughing at the war, laughing at Jay Powell and his hold the rates higher for longer. And in my mind, now could it pull back? You know, I pump up Amazon and then all of a sudden it has a turnaround moment and breaks down. But I see that it wants to get to 205. Now, we're very close. And the tight price action of Amazon as it continues to push higher is just, it's surprising. It's an outlier. So I'm going to pull it up on my chart real quick. That's not my chart. We got complete reset. Everybody gets to see what is going on. Go ahead, Tim. You talk about Amazon. Are you doing anything with Amazon right now?
I hadn't looked at Amazon's technicals in a while. Again, there's just so much volatility happening in the crypto world. I look at some stocks here and there, but I had not recently, because based off what I'm pulling this chart back up and I'm looking at what I had on there. It's very, very old, very old stuff going on. Yeah, it just keeps. I was looking at. I have been looking at the. Oh, we just talked about it. I had been looking at NVIDIA more recently, but Amazon, I'm looking at this. Yeah, look at it go, continuing just to defy odds. But when I see these charts, I always have a little bit of a feeling of saying it's too good to be true. Pullback should happen. And the first thing I notice, I don't know if while you're looking at yours, if you can share my screen, but we do have a nice gap. Got a nice gap right in here, which I need to kind of zoom in here to see the exact details of it. All right, so yeah, this gap actually is going to become way down here, and we'll go ahead and leave it like that. A gap that goes as low as back to 159 on Amazon here.
All right, so let me show everybody what I'm seeing, and I got my screen up. So I just want to identify a few things for you. Okay, I want you guys to see the charts through my eyes, and we're going to go through it real simple. One, this is a rocket ship. Okay, so just think about the Apple chart for a minute. Think about the Tesla chart for a minute, right? Those have been going down for a long time. The price action on Amazon has just gotten tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter, and it's pushing higher. Now, we recently have been making this move to get back to all-time highs. The little pullback that we've gotten this week is simply a back test of previous all-time highs. Now, we could fail here. I can tell you one of the areas that I'm watching is the big picture view. Let me pull this into perspective. I'm going to make a hard prediction, and I'm going to try to push some content. The best content's coming last here, guys. Amazon is working on this ascending line of support and resistance. We've got some significant touches here in the past, right? We broke above and had a real bullish move that got consolidated, eventually broke down. We back tested it here, and we then went on a long-term downturn in 2022. We've fully recovered, and I'm just telling you because I gave this same prediction on Meta and Netflix, and both have come to pass. We're going to hit 205 on Amazon. It doesn't mean that we're not lofty and frothy. It doesn't mean, just like Tim was saying a moment ago, that we don't have some gaps to fill in the background. But I'm going to tell you that more than likely what I see happening is we're going to hit that 205. And if I add a line here and I pull it down, I'm just going to give you guys this other prediction. We're probably going to get up here and touch this and have some sideways movement that looks a little bit like that. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Did you mostly see that, Tim?
Yeah, I saw that. Good. That's good stuff. Yeah,
I've lost a little technical confidence in the production value of the day, not in my charting. I'm the chart goat. I'm making hard predictions. Book them and count them. That's where we're going with Amazon. In your view, Tim, regarding the Lux Algo, and we're up in the first layer of the resistance cloud, my 205 puts us right between it puts us at the top of the first layer. Any experience that you might contemplate or share with the fam from that point of view?
Yeah. So if you share my screen here, as you pointed out, we're riding this red resistance cloud. What I think is interesting here, we do have another take profit. I'm gonna say the significance of the 205 you kind of gave, and then also say why there's a chance it might not happen. But 205 is going to come pretty darn close to the middle of this take profit suggestion. Now, anytime that I ever on Lux Algo, when I'm looking at their entry suggestions and take profits, and I see that so high above the buy order, I question. I'm like, was this the first take profit? And if you look at the history, you're actually going to see that originally the take profit after this buy order actually came in between 162 and 177. Now, we have since smashed this. If I go and play how this played out, you can see we smashed those levels and it reassessed up to those higher levels. Come on, play out a little faster for me. There we go. All right. And that's going to kind of take me where I wanted to go. It reassessed, and this is the second take profit level. What I have noticed historically is those are not as high of probabilities of being hit. But the fact that you are using your own technical analysis to say 205's in play, the fact that the confluence of this second take profit flashing is there, I have to give that some weight as a possibility. But I will say, when you are on the red cloud, you do have to start asking some questions on, is this sustainable longer term? I come down here to the daily chart where we have recently not only been on that red cloud as well, but we hit our take profit on the daily chart. A move back down makes a lot of sense. Again, we talked about the gap down here towards 160. That's where we also are finding the daily green support wave that has not been touched since way back in October of 2023. So this is one that's very, very interesting. I think that 205 is something to keep an eye on, but at the same time,
well, let's talk about it this way. So
there's a chance it pulls back.
No. So here's what you and I are both agreeing on. This thing is frothy as can be. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is not 100%. This is not where you go long. If you're not in Amazon, you don't go long here. Now, no. I'm trying to help people, and I saw that people were squirming and dying in their Tesla positions, and it's because they don't understand how a lot of them don't have a lot of experience in the stock market, Tim, and they didn't understand where or when to hedge. If you're in Amazon and you're bullish, one, I'm principally operating off of the fact that I see this ascending line that it has interacted with. Mm-hmm. I also have a conscious memory of the Meta chart and the Netflix chart. Both of them had a similar line that they had interacted with. I made a call, I believe, on Netflix, and I said, guys, we're going to get up here. But it did, shortly after that, it had a little descending channel that then shot up real strong on earnings and touched the top of that channel. And the fact that it actually had a slight pullback and hadn't touched the channel was actually more bullish because it enabled the price to touch at a higher price further down. It's going to that channel. But here's the takeaway. One, if you're not in it, it's not time to long. If you're in it and you want to continue to hold because you believe in it long term, this is where you would hedge. Don't come talking to me after it's pulled back $50 to fill the gap that Tim talked about and say, is it time to buy puts now? No, because when we get up there to that level that I'm foreseeing that we could hit, if I'm going to hold my Amazon shares long term, I'm going to hedge right there in the money, leap puts, so that I could take advantage of a potential downturn, a swing low in the market. So yes, we're both agreeing it's too frothy, but get a trade plan. You know what? I've been sharing my trade plan on the YouTube channel and in the Discord, and I'm starting to wonder sometimes whether people are understanding it, whether they're hearing me, because they're too much in the moment. They're in today. They're trying to make they're trying to make money today. My trade plans sometimes are months out or years out. I just shared with you an Amazon trade plan. Think it through. Have a take profit scenario. Have a target. If you're not going to take profit, then consider when we get there hedging. Or recognize that you've got two technical analysts that have just told you that Amazon keeps revising higher and higher, and we're getting to a place where it's pretty frothy. Now, one more, we're going to do a lightning round of altcoins. This show is longer. We've had some exciting transitions, but I'm going to get this content out for people. I'm going to talk about NVIDIA because we have to. We got to cover it. And then I'm going to talk about, we're going to do a lightning round on the alts. So let me, any thoughts on NVIDIA while I start pulling up my chart, Tim?
Yeah, a hard chart to bet against. Technically right now, the daily chart is showing signs of pullbacks, but it's been showing signs of pullback for a while. This is a chart that's hard to short right now. Ultimately, what you're doing is saying if the price goes down, I'm looking for good buy positions on NVIDIA. Not one I'm too strong on going against.
All right. Well, I am the counter trend maniac, and I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to make the predictions, the chart goat predictions. So here's what I see in the NVIDIA chart. I'm going to describe it for you first. We have a critical moment, a crossroads that we're getting ready to potentially come to that's going to tell us exactly where this is going. I have done this so many times on this channel to tell you guys in advance what would happen. It's going to be 840. It's going to be 838. We just visited it and we came up off of it, right? But there are some dynamics when you, Tim, go into that longer time frame and you look at NVIDIA over the last year. We have had an incredible move. Now, I am not suggesting to short NVIDIA, but you do want to understand where you want to load in hard, where you might want to hedge. And I think we're going to have a deciding factor at that 840, 838. If we close on a weekly candle beneath 838, in my mind, we are going to go a little bit sub 700. We're going to drop pretty significantly on it. And let me see if I get my 784. No, not 700, guys. Below 800. I got that getting too crazy here. So these are your numbers right here. We have this dynamic, and I know the chart's kind of spread out. 840, 830 are the lines that you guys need to be keeping your eye on. If we do get a close on the weekly, the fact is we have annihilated some structure in here. And at that point, we're going to probably come back and get to 784. Overall, like Tim, I'm actually quite bullish. And I have a target. Even if we were to come back to 784, I still have a local target of around 1130 that I believe that we have the potential of hitting. Now, the two areas where you could consider taking a position, one, a pullback and a bounce off of 838. I think that's going to be potentially a bullish moment. You watch and see if that breaks. If it breaks and closes on the weekly, then the next spot to go long is 784. We may not get beneath 840, but if we do, 784, we go long, and in my mind, our target becomes 1130 on NVIDIA. Overall, if we take a step back and we look at the Lux on a bigger time frame, we have very rarely do we push to the outside of the top of the cloud, okay? And you might shed some light on this, Tim. You've used the Lux longer than me. Most of the time, you see that we stay within. We on this particular weekly candle, we pushed to the outside, it closed within. We got to the top, we stayed within. Only this one time did we actually get some candles on the top. And when we did, that was a precursor of this much bigger move down. Now we have a similar replay. Came to the top, stayed within. Came to the top, stayed within. But now we're on the outside. And so that's why I'm telling you guys, if you're long NVIDIA, take the trigger for me after I spent time studying this chart was 840. If we're going to bounce, we're going to bounce at 838. If we don't, then you can expect we're going to have to come back, and we're going to have to consolidate a bit more. Any final thoughts before we move on to the altcoins? Did I have my chart up that whole time, or was I just...
I don't. Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't want to interrupt you because the numbers were good, but I don't think you had your chart up for people. I've done that before as well. I had a call once with, I was doing a members only stream, and I did about 30 minutes of charts without sharing my screen, but I didn't see the comments where people were like, Tim, we don't see anything you're talking about. So it's it's been there. I've done that before.
Well, I'm just going to show people really quick. All right, my chart up now, Tim?
There we go. Yep. There we go.
Okay, guys, I just want you to see this. I'm not going to re-explain it. These were the various moments that we were at the top of the cloud, didn't break through, top of the cloud, didn't break through, over the cloud, gave us a much bigger pullback, top of the crowd, didn't break through, top of the cloud, didn't break through, over the crowd is where we're at. And so this is an area where we definitely have to be watching that key levels of support like 838 hold, because if they don't, then we need to make room for being slightly less bullish on NVIDIA and expecting a little bit more of a digestion of the moment as well as the macro of the moment. You follow me?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Again, it's just the time that we're in right now. I think that this is a potential opportunity. I think we potentially are going to see something repeat like what we saw back in August of 2020. I think is a similar time where we came outside of those red clouds. Um, I don't think it's time yet for that big correction like we saw in November of 2021. I could be wrong, but it's just I think that's a little too early for the bears to get too strong. I love the levels you talked about to keep watching. In case anyone was wondering, on Lux Algo, there's also a smart trail on the daily chart that is those exact levels of support you were talking about, around 830, give or take. So yeah, if we lose that, we could have a ways to fall if we lose 830. But as long as we keep using that as support, I just am not ready to bet against NVIDIA just yet.
Okay, I think that's a reasonable statement. Okay, let's do lightning round, and but I'm gonna only pull up charts. I think on one of these, Tim, and that's SEI. These guys are the decentralized exchange ecosystem that is partnered with BlackRock and Coinbase. And BlackRock's chosen, the world's chosen Coinbase, right? All of the investment firms have chosen Coinbase. Coinbase is building their network out to some of the tools that they can't use, that they're not trying to get regulated and expand their business. It's sort of like if you're in the airline business, you might recommend a car rental, but you're not necessarily, United Car Rentals. And so Coinbase is the centralized exchange, and they're partnering strategically with some decentralized exchange. One of them is, SEI. It's taken an absolute beating, Tim. Truthfully, where's the price right now? I won't pull up my chart, but where's the price right now? 53.
59 cents is what I'm looking at.
Okay, nice. If we lose roughly 56 again, I think that's where I'm seeing some support. If we lose that, I think we could come back as far as 36. That would be a sheer Armageddon on SEI price. My long-term target for SEI is between 130, 140 on the high end. My target 2 for SEI is between 160 and 180, which roughly gives us a 200% potential with SEI. But you know what? There's only 2 ways to control risk with these altcoins. You either have to control your position size so you can sleep at night, or you have to use a stop loss. If you weren't using a stop loss on SEI, then you've been absolutely taken to the woodshed and beat. It's down 50%. But for me personally, I had a stop loss. I got kicked out. I got in with a smaller position size, which I did not put a stop on. So it bled a little bit, and I've been accumulating. If it gets above a certain dollar amount, I will protect it with a stop loss. Right now, I'm controlling my risk with position size. And here's the bottom line. I'm buying SEI. I like what they do. I like their alliance. I am looking for a 200% profit. I will be transitioning out of my position depending on what happens with Bitcoin. But I'm going to be tightening up my stop loss when we get above $1 on this, so that I don't suffer another loss, so that I can potentially lock in 100 or 200%. Do you want to pop up this SEI trait and let everybody know what you see in it right now, Tim?
Yeah, go ahead. You can share my screen here. Even before I pull up Lux Algo, I have Fibonacci up here and fixed range volume profile. I'm going back to October of 23 when everything got really explosive with SEI. Take a look at where the value area low is playing in here. It doesn't mean we don't have volume beneath this, but of the majority of the hefty 70% of volume we've seen since October, the value area low in our nice little volume gap is coming in right around the 0.382 for Fibonacci pullback, right here towards this 43-cent area. That's where we wicked down to just a couple days ago. I'm going to keep an eye on that. If we lose that, it could be a hard fall down here to 32 cents. Would be interesting. As far as Lux Algo on the daily chart, what you're going to find here is we've hit our take profit, which again brings us right to that same level. So a lot of confluence. We're already within the green support wave. It's stretching to the downside. We don't necessarily need to go lower, but we could. What I want to see is the oscillators, to see them show some strength. MACD is super low. We flashed here more recently 100% oversold, which are all positive signs, but I need to see the money flow come back positive. We're negative in the money flow right now. We're setting up some good bullish divergences, but I need to see money flow come back. And I need to see that 42, 43 cent level held as support. If we lose it, again, 32 comes into play. But just like I was saying with NVIDIA, you have to look at that level, and you don't bet against it just yet. Wait to see the breaking of that strong support before you go against it. I think SAFE is in a great buy spot right now with a confluence of support.
So thank you, Tim. Thank you. Real quick, I want to shout out my man, Parka here, who says, we can agree that you want people to buy to pump your bags.
I think he's having a conversation in chat with Crux about Cardano. A very yeah, they're going back.
Well,
and forth.
I won't take it personally.
A lot of people hate it. Yeah, he's not talking to us. He's talking to somebody else in chat.
So I was only going to say this. First of all, yes, please pump my bags. I just don't think I'm that big yet. Maybe when I get over 100,000 subscribers, I can move the market. Me, Larry Fink, Gary Gensler, Michael Saylor, the powerhouse team, absolutely. But I guess that wasn't directed to me. I'm going to throw some. Let's do a lightning round. We can't get into the charts. Okay, before I do, I have a final thought on SEI. I like SEI. I'm willing to take risk. I have a bunch of cash that I moved over from my bank account into my crypto account to take advantage of any further move. If we drop to 32, I would drop a big bag. I would drop a wheelbarrow worth of bags because I think in general the project's sound. You are 100% right. What we're lacking is not a buyable support level. We're buying a confirmation of volume. We don't have it yet, but that can happen pretty quickly. These things turn around. So I'm not going to go into all these, but let's go through them a little bit. SUI, fastest blockchain transaction technology that's currently on the market, a game changer. This is what I would refer to as superior tech. Any thoughts on SUI? Hold, buy, or sell?
I'll say continue to hold and potential buy here. That's a solid newer layer one. I don't think it'll ever be able to really compete with like the Ethereums and Solanas, and Park is not going to like this, but I still see a lot of positivity for Cardano in the decentralized aspect. I don't think we're going to see SUI rival to be one of the top layer ones, but couldn't you make money in it? Yes, I think that there's money to be made in SUI.
Okay, let's go through it. Obviously, SUI is a little bit closer to the Web3 development as far as a focus of technology than some of the legacy projects were originally designed to do. Stacks. Now, Stacks is one that some people thought was expensive. It got away from them. They didn't get into it. It's been a runner. It's the whole concept of the Internet of Things, similar. The play is a little bit more of technology on the Bitcoin ecosystem. Stacks, I don't think it's come down enough for me just yet, but just throw a price out, Tim, on your thoughts on where Stacks would want to be for max pleasure of buying support.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of support coming in here. Let's talk about a potential move down to 190. $1.90 looks interesting to me. The lower level to take profit. Could we go a little lower? Maybe to 150, maybe.
Dang, you calling it all the way down there, huh?
Well, we just have some order blocks here that are interesting on the farther extent. It's almost like, to me, this is like a safe bet, the 189, 190. And then it's like, hey, do we want to get really aggressive and come down to this order block, 150? By the way, if I were to turn this off and we say 150, this is what I always love to show my community when I talk about these lower price actions is let's just pretend that the price action does come down to 150, right? So down here and then bounces and goes to the upside. Would we look at this? Would we look at that price action and say that that's a bearish chart? I wouldn't, because I still see these higher lows and higher highs. That's a bull trend, but that's a reasonable move for crypto. I mean, again, Stacks. I'll talk about what.
I love it.
Let's see, that would be a 60% move to downside. Not abnormal for crypto.
Tim, here's why go ahead.
Okay, good. Well, I'm saying here's why I'm big on Stacks. That if people know crypto, if you know what Matic is a layer 2 scaling solution to Ethereum to avoid some gas fees and to get things faster. Very, very bullish on Matic. Stacks is like what Matic is to
Yep,
Ethereum.
yep,
Stacks is that to Bitcoin.
yep.
Bitcoin has more than Ethereum, and Stacks right now is way lower than Matic. Stacks is one of the coins that I am buying that I think I could get the greatest returns in this crypto market when we're talking about some of the top crypto projects.
Why are you
Love
trying to
Bitcoin
drag
layer
me,
twos.
Tim? Why are you trying to drag me back in to talk bullishly about Stacks? I'm trying to move on. Yeah, Stacks has defined itself already. Look at the last year. It's already proven the price action has already established it as a leader in this cycle. That's one of the takeaways. And so when it's on sale, I don't know what the percentage off. Where are we at percentage off on Stacks right now?
Yeah, if you were to buy it from the top, let's see, currently about 36% down. We dipped about 44, 45%. That's why I think there's still a little bit more. I think this is at least a 50% pullback, if not closer to 60. That's just normal stuff. 50% pullback would be $1.85,
Well,
$1.80.
that's the level that seemed a bit more interesting to me as far as when I would begin. I don't think I've got Stacks, so that's going to be one. I might have my bots buying some, so I might actually own some, but I haven't purposely built a bag of Stacks, and I want to. So that's one of the ones on the top of my list. Let's try to get a couple more out. One of the gentlemen's Crux of Crypto, Cass is a very good project. Cass is on my list, so I'm going to get it to you. Now, I want you to sell me Cass, Tim, because Cass is really, it's a hedge against Bitcoin. It's like this is Bitcoin's day and hour potentially for global institutional adoption. And Cass is a straight competitor offering up a similar concept, but with a different technology package. Why should Michael Saylor, imagine I'm Michael Saylor, my eyes are lightning. Imagine trying to talk me out of Bitcoin and tell me that I need to get a bag of Cass. Sell me on it, brother.
Well, let's not even get into the fundamentals. Let's just talk about investment opportunity. There's a lot more gains left for Kaspa than there are for Bitcoin. Let's say we're right about the 170 to $200,000 Bitcoin price action. From right now, we're talking about best case scenario, like a 3x versus Kaspa. There's a lot of room to grow. I think it'll easily more than 3x. From the other perspective, let's think about one thing that's keeping Kaspa back from growing, because this is a coin that a lot of people are big on. It is a proof of work. So a lot of the decentralized purists in the crypto space who don't really like the proof of stake models, they're going to navigate towards more proof of work, things like Kaspa. And right now, Kaspa has done very, very well, despite the fact that it is not listed on the two largest centralized exchanges, that being Binance and Coinbase. And yet it's still a top 50 coin. When it gets listed on either one, if not both of those, Binance and Coinbase, the price will go berserk. So from a fundamental standpoint, while I understand a lot of fundamental stuff, I'm not a fundamental guy. I'm an investment guy. I let other people talk tech and how much the world needs to use things. I look at things from a price perspective, a gains perspective, and Kaspa, people are really big on it, and it hasn't even had its biggest catalyst hit just yet. Most people don't even know how to buy it. When they can on Binance and Coinbase, it'll go berserk. This is one I think can easily get in the top 20, maybe top 15, and you could see 20 to 30x from current prices.
You know what? I got technical ears to hear Tim, and what Tim just told you is price is truth, and Cass is going higher. Okay, yeah. Let me get you guys can shout them out if you want us to talk about a crypto right now. ONDO, ONDO's one that I really like, Tim. This is a one that again falls into the camp of what I would refer to as sort of this chosen elite next generation of cryptos. This is, I talked about SEI being the decentralized exchange. ONDO is aligned with Coinbase as an up-and-coming DAO, the decentralized autonomous organization. And so it's a little bit different, but this is where I see Coinbase and institutional money making these strategic alliances. And these guys, this is one of the things that is said on their website. So I want you just to listen to it, and I'm going to get Tim's reaction, and then I'm going to tell you what I think about it. They say on their website, this is the exact phrase: regulated service provider, third-party audited security. So what they're basically telling you is that they pass the test when it comes to regulation concerns. You know, ADA, I love ADA, right? But they're under this cloud of regulation. Solana is under this cloud of regulation in lawsuits. But these guys are coming right out and telling you we're properly regulated, we're properly trustable as an investment class vehicle. And so that's why I like ONDO. And it also, similar to Stacks, has been a leader. It's been really pumping. It flew before this pullback, and like Doge, which I'm also bullish on, Doge pumped before the pullback, which was sort of predicting this move. So they put it higher so that when it pulled back, it wouldn't pull back too low. And so it's almost like the price was protected. Your opinion on ONDO, sir?
Yeah, I'm going to just give you guys price action. This is one that's going to have BlackRock's hands in it. Again, BlackRock, big controller right now, Coinbase and others. And so when you have that affiliation, you get a lot of money. Current market cap, 1.1 billion. All right. So am I an expert on the tokenomics? No, but I know the tokenomics have a long way to go to be great. However, just from a market cap perspective, not going to be surprised whatsoever to see this one push closer to 50 billion. We're talking about, in market cap. Wow. That's a 50x. It won't be that perfect because there will be more coins printed out. But let's just say they get to about 500. Let's see. Currently, there's 1.3 billion tokens versus there's 10 billion in total supply. Let's say we get to 5, and that's halfway. That's still going to be a 25, 30x from here. So I like the people investing in it. I like the concept of what it is, bringing the decentralized aspect into it. And I like where the current market cap is compared to where that kind of thinking
gets. When it goes up 400%, I would like you to immediately call me and say, Josh, do not sell your bags. It's going higher, brother. Because I don't know that I will be able to hold that long. I've got a big bag of ONDO. I've got some change in ONDO.
Okay.
So when you said it could go that high, I got a little excited there. So
yeah. Here's what people should know about the market, because I see a lot of chat. People are talking about this coin and that coin, this coin and that coin. I want you guys to know we got spoiled. All this recent crazy bullish price action is not normal. Historically, based off the 4-year cycles, alt season should begin sometime mid to late fall of 2024. So I urge every single one of you, there's people in here not liking this coin and that coin. They don't like Cardano and they don't like Solana, but they love Bonk and they love. Don't pick a coin based off of how well it's run so far. That's helpful. But I want to come back around here and let's take a look at the end of the year in December at what's starting to run. That is when a lot of the money will be made. Until then, Bitcoin and Ethereum might have actually better rallies over the next little bit. But when we get into the fall, look at the parabolic runs. It's very crazy when you're used to the stock world. It's very good to get a 2x in 1 year or something. The altcoin season that will come upon us, there will be days where these altcoins are 2xing, 3xing in 1 day alone. There will be some altcoins that end up finishing with upwards of 300 X's, 30,000 percent gains. And it's going to melt your faces, but that's just how these things work. They'll also come with really, really, really big pullbacks. But these big ones like Cardano, ONDO, Chainlink, don't be discouraged by some coins trading sideways or down right now or pulling back 60, 70%. That is all a part of this current cycle. The real bullishness has not started yet. When we get there, welcome to crypto, the world of chaos, but the world where people can turn a little bit of money into a whole heck of a lot of money very quickly.
Tim, let me just, we're going to take a very micro station break. If you're on and you didn't hit that like, I don't know what you're waiting for. What else do you want us to do? We're laying out strong technicals and fundamentals and knowledge. Beef up the likes and then do me 2 more favors. I want you, when this program is over, because we're going to cover a couple more alts here in a second. When it's over, I want you to go over to Tim Investing Bros and hit the subscribe. This guy should be easily at 20K subscribers, and I believe that we're going to get there super fast. I'm watching Tim. I love what he's laying out. It's solid content. He's day trading. He's not just someone talking pumping because stocks are pumping because crypto's pumping. He's got skin in the game. And to be honest with you, that's where he's making his money, is in the day trading. So I want you guys to subscribe to his page. If you guys want more content and technicals from me, then I have a link to the Patreon. That's the Stock Squad Discord. You can find me there, and you can find some of my technicals and plays and things that I can't get into this session. I will drop there. So go ahead, guys. Give me a couple more cryptos in the chat. I'm going to choose one. LCX. Now, this one is on watch. The last time, Tim, that I went and looked at it, I felt like it needed to come down a bit more. I felt like I could potentially get this at 30 cents. I'm curious your take. LCX is a fully regulated exchange. I believe they're out of England or Germany. I can't remember which one. I apologize. But their market cap is only 250 million. And this is another one that has massively connected with institutional money. And I believe that it's ahead of us. It's going to be a one to watch. But I did feel, looking at the chart, that it could come down a little bit. You want to pull it up on your screen,
Wow.
Tim?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. LCX is not one. It's not one that I have looked at a lot. And I like the tokenomics, what I'm seeing so far. So that's a good spot. The fact is only at 266. I don't know about the investors. So if you know something there, Josh, that I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, Tim, these guys are stacked with the investment class alignment. That's what causes them to be of interest. They're gonna smooth sail past the regulation, and they're gonna have endlessly deep pockets to build. And so this one's a secret climber. Definitely one to keep on the watch list. But I did think it could come back a bit more. What's your thought on the price chart?
Yeah, we quickly wicked down again, just like the rest of the market did, down to 20 cents. We didn't really fill that order block necessarily.
Exactly.
We have a lot more support down here at 20 cents. So I would say, I think, the money flow is still negative. MACD is still speeding up. We just retested the 50 as resistance on the RSI. This is absolutely one that should come down at least back to 20 cents. I don't know. I mean, weekly chart, let's see what. Yeah, 20 cents is really a good spot. It could go lower depending on what Bitcoin does, but I like 20 cents for
what
another pullback.
What I like the most about this, there's a lot of things I like about it. I like the fact that the market cap hasn't blown up. To me, this could be a $1 billion market cap. It puts it roughly at 80 cents to $1. And so this is one that I want to accumulate on these rough moments. Let me burn through a couple more. I know this is a long show, but I just feel like we're dropping some pretty important stuff. There's a lot of conversations about Bonk and Brett. You guys know I like Brett. Brett has weathered the storm extremely well. It's only available on the Coinbase wallet, so you've got to be able to figure out how to send some money or receive some money from your Coinbase account. You've got to receive it in your Coinbase wallet. I like Brett. Now, Bonk, I would tell you that I would be lying to you if I told you that, whether you should or shouldn't buy the memes. The memes have run with Bitcoin. We just told you the Bitcoin, has the opportunity to break lower to 55. No guarantee. But if it does go lower to 55, that's going to put a lot of additional pressure on these memes. I like the memes. I could make an entire show about what I view the memes are a future representation of capitalism and community at its finest. However, right now, and they're going, especially the ones that have no allocation, no pre-sales, and no taxes. Those are the ones that I like. But right now, they're aligned with Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin has the potential of going down, it means they'll get cheaper. And all that means for me, if you ask me, Josh, are you buying the memes? The answer is yes. I'm just buying them incrementally and patiently and leaving a ton of cash on the sideline to take advantage of a catastrophe. Another strike in the Middle East just caused the markets to make another drop, and that's when I'm going to be putting in some buy orders. Any thoughts on that, on the meme coins?
Yeah, meme coins are what pump when everything's fun. So if the market's fun, meme coins will pump. If it's not, they won't.
You're so right.
And I told you guys earlier, wait for the altcoin season. Altcoin season hasn't hit yet. Don't be surprised to see meme coins and a lot of altcoins trade sideways for all of summer.
Okay, we got to push. First of all, I loved what he said. Meme coins are entirely about enthusiasm. And if we're not in a happy place with Bitcoin, then they're not going to be going up. Tim, give us some support for Near Protocol. This is one that the market cap's grown. I believe that it's great tech, great backers. It's had a nice pump. It's had an incredible pump. It might be one that you would classify as it got expensive. This thing was $3 and it went all the way up to around 10. And so it got lofty. Where do you think is the best buy price on it right now?
Yeah, when I come on here and I'm just looking at our Lux Algo, we've hit the take profit here on the daily chart. On the weekly chart, we could go lower towards 376 where the smart trail is. But look at all these order blocks in here as well, down towards 279, which would bring us, a lot closer towards like a 60% pullback. But that's also where the daily green cloud is sitting. So,
go to the weekly, Tim. Go to the weekly on that.
Yeah, the weekly, I don't even think it has a green support cloud yet. It's not old enough on this chart that I'm looking at. Let's see if I can find an older one, maybe.
Well, less of the cloud, but more of the supports.
Yeah, so here, let me go back to my other one. Weekly chart here, yeah. We have right here at 364 is the smart trail concept. We already came into the cloud of that one, but again, that line is the more significant level that I'd look at. Order block coming in down here as well. Of course, what you're always going to want to keep an eye on is the Fibonacci level. So if you're going to just come into this more shorter term movement here, we got to have, I think it's going to line up kind of perfectly with that line. Yeah. Golden pocket kind of sitting here just south of $4 is another interesting one to keep an eye on, where of course with this smart trail going up, it probably could meet it there around $4. So a little bit further downside, but there's a lot of lack of clarity as far as how far down we need to come with that one, I would say.
I agree, but I will say that turning off the Lux Algos, the things I see is structural support, and then you go into that classic fib, and you've got the golden pocket. So I believe that Near has shown relative strength, and even though technically it's moved up almost too fast, too quickly, I think that it likely will find support on previous structure. And so that's my view on it. Okay, we're going to do...
I'll give you a hot take, though. I'm not saying Near's not going to be bullish. Right now, Near is the #1 AI crypto, ranked crypto. Keep an eye on Render, and then the newer token that's going to be coming out, ASI, which is the combination of Ajax, Ocean, and Fetch that are going to be combining into one. Near's #1 right now, but I'm not going to be surprised to see Render and ASI pass it in this upcoming bull market.
Crux, I don't know Crux. I think he might be a guy off of your channel. I don't know.
He is, yeah.
Okay. I like him. He says some sensible things. Truth be told, I'm bullish on Near, but I own it. And so, like Tim said, I will nibble, but I'm not adding big bags because entry is not great. So maybe the buy is neither good nor bad right now because of that run up that it's had. A lot of value might have been priced in. Let me just throw out one last one, and I'm not sure if you know much about. You might know this one, PENDLE. So PENDLE's been a big leader, right now. PENDLE, like Stacks, got away from me. I didn't really get a bag of it.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the chart, and it still didn't look. It looked like it had a ton of room to cool off. Just throw out not an overly bearish, but throw out a reasonable pullback that would at least be the spot where you would consider, if you had a similar bullish view that you do like towards NVIDIA, what would be your don't go against PENDLE entry point?
Yeah, we're not even going to use Lux Algo for this. This is just a very classic move that I like to look at. Untapped resistance, meaning when you have resistance and then you break through it and never come back down to it. I like when resistance is turned into support. And you're seeing some of that around 355. I guess, how high did we get? 762. We're not anywhere close to as far back as PENDLE could pull. If we were to pull back down to that level, that would bring us to the what? 50% pullback. Almost every other altcoin has done it. PENDLE's hot right now. It's one of the hotter tokens, but I agree with you 100%. Overextended right now. This is not a buy. This is hey, let's create bullish structure with higher highs and higher lows, but you just can't go that explosive without some form of a pullback. 50% makes sense back down to that former resistance level 365, 370 area is where I'm looking to say that'd be a good buy for Pendle.
Okay, we're going to wrap things up with one more crypto, OXT, for D. Robinson, asking us to cover it. I like OX. Go ahead and pull that up, Tim, if you don't mind. Really, it's kind of sitting on support. It's pulled back quite a bit. It's been punished quite a bit. But I do believe that we will hit 20 cents on OX. That's my target, my up target. Your thoughts on OX, Tim?
Yeah, this is a coin that is let's just call this one the opposite of Pendle. It's taken its beating. It's taken its big pullback.
Taken its beating.
Even here, like some people are going to say, oh, well, the take profit suggestion is way down here at 8 cents. Well, look at the perfect call Algo gave on the sell suggestion. This was the second option. I guarantee you the take profit was in this area. It came deep into the green cloud. I think the worst is over here for Ox, or Orchard, I guess is the name of this coin. Not what I do a lot of TA on necessarily. We're seeing the stronger reversals flash here. Money flow still negative, but the oscillator's curving. We got this green reversal triangle. So I'm going to look for money flow to get back positive, and I'll feel more confident about this going back to the upside. But this is one, it's drastically overextended. And again, I mean, look at the MACD. Look how low that MACD is compared to history. Easy bullish divergence in play here. This is a oversold coin right now.
Yeah, I squeezed in OX because it's one I'm actively buying right now, and it's one that I like. It's worth taking a risk. Different than Pendle. It's a little bit older coin, but it's been beat up enough, and I think it's still relevant. It's still got growth ahead of it. We're showing the Lux Algo. We're doing a lot of technicals on the Lux Algo, and that's something that Tim and I are going to continue to cover on our Technical Tuesdays. If you want to follow us along, there's a link for Lux Algo in the description of the video. I'm going to leave one in the top pinned comment once this video wraps up so you guys can check that out, because that's kind of what we're going to be teaching. Right now, we're just skimming the surface and talking about how we use it to enter and exit. But I'm going to work with Tim to make it easier to understand. We actually have to have some offline conversations so that I can get to the point where he's like talking like to a 4-year-old class. And it's not that you guys aren't super bright. What I understand is that some of you are lawyers, doctors, you're truck drivers, you're nurses, you're experts in what you're doing, and this is something you're trying to learn. And so we don't ever want to just come out here and show you what we know. We want to teach you what we know. So that's what we're going to do with the Lux Algo, and there's a link for that. And I don't want you guys to miss, when this video is over, go over to Tim's page and subscribe. I think he's earned it, and he's earned some likes on his videos. I think we're going to wrap it up there. It was a great show, probably the longest live I've ever done. I'd love for you guys to let me know in the comments section if you want more of this time with Tim. Personally, I'm enjoying it. Personally, I'm learning from it. I like what Tim's sharpening. You know, iron sharpens iron, and we're sharpening the axis here so we can make more money and you guys can make some more money as being part of the fam. Appreciate you, Tim. Thank you for being here. Final words?
Absolutely. No, this has been so much fun, Josh. Can't wait to be back on next week. Love your guys' audience. I want to give you, Josh, and this entire community just such a compliment. I've been in here twice now. You know, the crypto world, I love the crypto world. There's some toxicity in the community. What you're building here, Josh, and all of you guys who are a part of this community, you guys are so awesome. You're uplifting. The comments are just amazing. Love what you guys are doing. I can't wait to see you guys get to 200K. Forget 100K. That's easy pick'ems. 200K next for Josh. It's coming soon.
Thank you, Tim. You know what's interesting is a lot of people have to use a moderator in the background deleting comments. Now, I hate to tell you guys this, but I'm running naked with no moderator, so you guys could pretty much say whatever you want, but don't get yourself kicked. But it does show what a great community we have, that I can get on here and not even worry about the comments being hostile, which is common on YouTube. But I just have the best people. So I just got to compliment you guys. Thank you for watching this show. Thank you for being part of the community. Thank you for hitting the like and hit the subscribe to get the next Technical Tuesdays testing Tim that we're going to do next week. I appreciate you, Tim. Peace and blessings, friends.
See ya.